Well, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between, the time has come once again to take a peek at 6 new twisted tales from the Number 9 lads. But this time, we've come to the end. It's the final series of the show, and it's come an awful long way from its initial 6 episodes over a decade ago. As always, I'm both excited and afraid for what's going to happen. At the very least, we can take this little journey together as we once more step inside Number 9. One of the more overlooked episodes in Inside Number 9, at least to me, is The Trial of Elizabeth Gatch, a tale set during the Jacobean era about an old woman being accused of witchcraft, combined with the absurdism and cruelty regarding witch-finders and Stuart superstition. Now I know you all aren't blind, as you can read the title of this video and very clearly see that we're not talking about that episode today, but I wanted to start off this video as I think Inside Number 9s that are also period pieces are an ingenious concept, and I'm really surprised that they haven't been done more. Well, fortunately for the show's penultimate episode, we turn back the clocks once more, and now it's time to talk about the Curse of the Ninth. For this tale of terror and terror, we follow Jonah Quigley, a piano tuner employed by the Burnham household to try and tune their old instruments, the house still reeling from the death of its occupant, the great composer Nathaniel Burnham. After discovering what's causing the problem, Quigley, being a massive fan of Burnham, stumbles across the discovery of a lifetime, an unfinished piece of Burnham's, his Ninth Symphony. But as he makes his discovery known to everyone, he talks about a curse regarding this piece start to rise. Well, surely they can't be real, right? First and foremost, and because I mentioned it during the intro, we need to talk about the setting of the episode, as we are now thrust into the Edwardian era, the grand set piece of the episode being the sprawling estate of the Burnhams, and most notably, Nathaniel's study. It makes for quite a striking design, while also being the prime setting for horror and the supernatural to also creep in. The supernatural and the nature of superstition does play an integral role in this episode. After all, the Curse of the Ninth, the belief that all composers meet their end after making the Ninth Symphony, is what it's named after and centered around. This era of superstition and paranoia circles the opening and final scenes of the episode itself, making for a unique and almost gothic experience, especially with the contrast of pale warm whites of the day with the cold and feeling blue of night. And while we're on the subject, I of course had to give praise to the director of the episode, Guillermo Morales, who for my money is the best director on the show's entire run. The way the episode is framed and carefully coordinated to give a feeling of dread and paranoia throughout it is truly effective, which is of course helped by this episode's score. And speaking of which, naturally in an episode based entirely around music, we must also appreciate the score provided by none other than Christian Henson, who has blown it out of the park with the show ever since the very first episode. I will admit, I've got no knowledge in music, haven't particularly touched the piano since I was in year 8, but the use of non-diegetic sound, particularly the use of strings and classical instruments, further wrapped the emotions of the characters right around the scene into a constricting and panic gasp that complements it well, especially during the climax of the episode and its final scene. With its characters, I feel that the overarching themes of greed and legacy in the episode is what truly motivates them. Take for example what happens when the unfinished symphony is discovered. Quigley naturally wants it to be completed, to be appreciated, while everyone else wants it complete for the money, even if both sides had to rob a dead man's grave in order to get what they want. And when it comes time for Quigley to do what he wants and complete it, he's given pause, letting the same slight paranoia and madness plague his creativity as his mind is haunted by Burnham's ghost, possibly from regret at what he's actually doing.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Why are you helping me?
It amuses me.
This facet of greed, intertwined with the idea of legacy and respecting the dead, is also reflected within Nathaniel's character too, wanting to honour Marla by unwittingly inflicting the curse upon himself before burying the incomplete sheets with him. But even after his death, the curse still lives on, as his wife Lillian and his lawyer Dickie Van Ass also want to sell it, not to mention Devonshire. In a way, both he and the curse all haunt this story and the characters within, leading to their unfortunate demise at the hands of the supernatural.
It takes an act of courage to create anything, and you, my boy, are a coward.
I don't particularly know how I feel about the presence of the curse itself as a physical manifestation in the episode, especially with the slight on-screen appearance during the final scene. It does make sense with the cold open highlighting Burnham's madness, and it'd be neat if the study in the episode just so happened to be some beacon of paranormal activity, since we do see Burnham's spirit, or perhaps a manifestation of Quigley's doubt and guilt given form as his spirit. But as for the final scene, while the tension is certainly palpable, I do wonder whether showing the curse itself in anthropomorphic form, even for just a split second, was a wise decision or not. But hey, what do I know? So to wrap things up, The Curse of the Ninth is a tale of legacy, pride, and the supernatural all rolled up into a delectable dish of gothic horror and Edwardian paranoia. While it does strike that balance of quirkiness and horror well, I couldn't help but feel left wanting just a little bit more, even if the themes and overall ideas the story presents is rather interesting. As the final horror episode of the show and as the second period piece, I'm glad to say that it delivered quite nicely on both fronts.